Hey guys, this is Blake here. I've decided that I'm going to go ahead and review Conan the Barbarian. Now, this is not going to be an easy one to review, I think, because whenever I think about what I'm going to say, I start rambling in my mind, and you know that's bad when you're rambling just when you're thinking about what you want to say. Usually when I think about what I want to say, it sounds really clear up until I get to the camera. Then I get all stuttery and I stumble over my words. So we'll have to see how this goes. Okay, with this remake, liking it depends, I guess, on what you want out of it. You have to ask yourself, did you like the original Arnold Schwarzenegger film? If not, why didn't you like it? Or if you liked it, why did you like it? What I liked about it was that, for one, it's a product of its time. It was made in a time when you can get away with stuff that you wouldn't be able to get away with, at least in mainstream films, a few years later, especially late in the 80s, or actually I guess more early 90s. Yet it also was made in a time when relatively modestly budgeted movies could look really expensive and lavish. These days, for example, low-budget movies look low-budget. I mean, the direct-to-video market sucks now because everything looks so cheap. So that was one thing I really liked about the 80s. But another thing I liked about it was just different. I mean, that's a movie that, through all of its imitations, and yes, there were many imitations, none has been able to really be like, even the most blatant rip-offs, even the sequel couldn't really be like the original. It was just so unique in its own weird way. And it had a very episodic structure, which usually I don't care for, because usually it kills the pace. And I will say that if Conan the Barbarian has any faults, because I don't think it's a great movie either, is that it does have kind of an uneven pace. Really, it's just Conan and his friends walking through the desert, encountering other characters and little mini adventures before he finally decides, oh yeah, there's a plot I have to get to, isn't there? But I found all of his adventures interesting, and one thing that I thought the original movie did well, even if it wasn't faithful to the source material, which was like these pulp novels, I haven't read any of them, you got a good sense of what this world was all about. You felt like you knew everything you needed to know without there being really any exposition about it. And even more importantly, you got a feeling like you knew the characters and their roles in this world. Now, this remake, which apparently is closer to the source material, it has no real interest in its world or its characters. It is just one big action scene. And I'm not sure if I like that or dislike that yet. Because on one hand, this movie moves really quickly. I mean, if the original film had some problems with its pacing, this remake never really stops once it gets going. And it gets going maybe like 20 seconds into the movie. It's just non-stop action, people running to get to the next action scene. And the action's, I guess it's pretty good in terms of violence and gore. And for those who are worried that they were going to soften this up, it's just as gory and breast-filled as you'd want from this kind of movie. I really like that because if they made it like PG-13 or real soft R, I would have been pretty pissed off. But no, it has all the violence and sex that you'd want. But that's pretty much all it is. So if you wanted, like, you know, the characters, for example, you know, they're flat. There's no personality there. They have implications of characterization, but they never go anywhere. That, like, it's possible the main villain's daughter has some sort of creepy incestuous feelings toward her father, but it just kind of implied a little bit one scene and then never brought up again. They have, apparently one henchman was planning on overthrowing her too, but I only read that on Wikipedia. I didn't get that at all in the movie. So maybe a lot of the attempts at fleshing out the characters was originally in the film, but just got left on the editing room floor. Even Conan, you know, he's just a generic good guy in this movie, and when he starts trying to be morally ambiguous, it's just him being a douchebag, but it happens so late in the movie that it almost feels forced. You don't really know why he's acting that way. Whereas in the original film, you know, even though he acts nothing like Clint Eastwood, it was very much that same Clint Eastwood-esque character that he played in the spaghetti westerns, and that you never really knew whether this guy was a full-on good guy or if he was a bad guy but would do good things. You know, the moral ambiguity was strong there. And just all in all, you just got a better sense of how these characters were. In this film, for example, there's a thief who I'm presuming is supposed to be kind of like Sabotai. I can't remember his name fully. Sabotai, the thief guy from the original who was friends with Conan. You know, that guy, I felt like, you know, they intentionally made that guy mysterious, but you knew all that you needed to know, whereas this one, he's just a typical plot point. There's no real relevancy there other than to keep the plot moving on. The love interest gets it even worse because in this film, she grows up in a monastery, and then literally after what had to have been 1 or 2 days of knowing Conan, she sleeps with him and is presumably in love with him. Why? In the original film, the love interest was pretty much the female equivalent of Conan, so you could understand why those two would be drawn together. Even in the second one, there's a princess who's kind of infatuated with him, but that's it. It was just infatuation. Nothing ever comes from it. So this one, the love story felt really, really forced, and it was the characters. They were so dull. They're all one-dimensional, including Conan. But luckily, the acting is good. I liked how the actors are all pretty over the top. Conan, the guy who plays him, he's competent, but he's not, like, he doesn't stand out like Arnold did. I like Stephen Lang as the villain. He's the guy who played the villain in Avatar. And he is so over the top that at one point he even starts drooling when he's angry. And he's not even the most over the top character. Rose McGowan, I think, was even crazier. But I like that for this kind of movie. You need to be over the top, especially considering how boring these characters are. So the acting was good. I also liked the fact that this film has a lot of nice-looking colors in it. I think a lot of movies have adopted that real bland, bleak look, like that Robin Hood movie that came out, I think, last year. You know, just really boring to look at, and I'm glad that Conan the Barbarian didn't go that route. The colors look all very pretty, and they contrast off each other nice, and there's some pretty cool set pieces in there, too. And the CGI is good, but I also preferred how it's ambiguous in the original film whether magic is really real or not, whereas whether it's just sleight of hand. And this one, yeah, there's magic, obviously, but then they kind of forget about it late in the movie with the one woman could create like these sand warriors. It's one scene, and then throughout the rest of the movie she doesn't do any magic. So once again, just to wrap this up, if you didn't like Conan because it was just too slow paced and you want something faster, yeah, I'd recommend this. I think you'd be satisfied. It's just, like I said, lots of violence, lots of sex. Well, not so much lots of sex, but there's quite a bit of nudity. Or if you liked the original but thought it was too slow, you might appreciate this too for that reason. And I enjoyed it, but is it going to last long in my memory? No. It's just one of those movies that you just sit down, watch, enjoy. It ends. What did I just watch? So that's it. If you want to read my written review, just check the link in my description. I actually think this review turned out better than I expected. I plan on reviewing Fright Night either today or tomorrow. That's it. I'll see you guys later.